I'm here on the Dingle Peninsula in the far southwest of Ireland. In my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful parts of the world, which is why I came to live here more than 30 years ago.
Of course, there's a lot more to this place than just the fishing. But during my time here among the glistening beaches, crashing surfs, the estuaries and rock pools, I've discovered much and managed to tease out a lot of its secrets.
And I'm now going to pass many of those secrets on to you.
So join me for some real fishing. Don't worry, I won't be urging you to buy the most sophisticated tackle or to practice any intricate casting techniques. I will, however, be encouraging you to get the right tools for the job. And they include the really important bits of information, like trying to be in the right place at the right time, understanding the place you're fishing and the fish you want to catch, confidence and plenty of perseverance. But real fishing is also about failure, frustration and problems, as well as success, and hopefully I'll be helping you to cope with all that too. The fish are right there, waiting for you. And with any luck, they're waiting for me too, as I'm off in pursuit of wrasse, pollock and the elusive bass. Today, our target is wrasse. But before we go to the wrasse mark, I want to show you something. Back in the early 1960s, the Dingle Peninsula was well off the beaten track. Few of the houses even had electricity, and it wasn't easy to get to or get out of. But then along came someone whose work here put this part of the world on the map. Along with giving the area a massive boost, he also left a few lasting mementos, and there's one just up ahead. Out on the headland here, there's an old school. It's hardly visible from the road, and most visitors miss it. You're probably thinking, why on earth put a school on a cliff in the middle of nowhere? Well, it was built for David Lean, the film director, and was a key part of the story of his movie, Ryan's Daughter.
Isn't it amazing? A schoolhouse standing on the top of a cliff, 20 yards away the sea. It stood here for 30 years, taking the pounding from the wind and the waves and the spray, and yet it's just a film prop.
It's sheep, not students now, but once this was home to actor Robert Mitchum, the schoolmaster in the film. The film crew were here for 2 years. Local houses were renovated and modernised for actors and technicians to stay in, and huge amounts of money went into the local economy. Sir John Mills, who won an Oscar for his work on Ryan's Daughter, lived in this house. And when Sarah Miles and Robert Mitchum were shown to audiences around the world walking on the sands here at Inch Beach, well, the Dingle Peninsula would never be the same again. But let's get on with the fishing. You won't find the mark we're off to in any guidebooks. It's just along the coast from the schoolhouse, and it's one of my favourite places. And I usually keep it to myself. It's at Farn, near Ventry. Some of these marks need a bit of determination to get to, and you also need to be careful. These are steep rocks, and it's a long way down if you missed your footing. We've timed our arrival for the flood tide, and the conditions look good. Wrasse like a bit of movement in the water with some white water around the rocks.
Take a nice gentle stroll down to the sea. These rocks can be very, very slippery when it's wet. If it's raining, in actual fact, it's hardly worth fishing here because it's dangerous. But it's something about these black rocks when they have the lichens on them. They make it very, very slippery. But when it's dry, they're grippy enough. We have the bait in my right hand. Right, so that's it. Now we're almost there. One more step. Right, we've got a fairly good, safe platform. 10, 12 feet above the sea. But the main thing, it's very nice and grippy, which is important. A good wrasse is 5 pounds. But the only thing about wrasse is that they tend to dive, and once you've got them diving, it's very hard to hold them. If you need something around 10 pound, I don't think it needs to go any further than that. I make the floats myself. Very simple, polystyrene, a drinking straw, and 2 inserts of cotton buds. The idea of making it myself, apart from the fact that a lot cheaper than buying, is that they're made exactly to fit the weight. The weight is 1 ounce, and you buy a lot of floats and you spend half the time when you're on the mark trying to get the right weight to fit the float so that it cocks properly. It's no good having it laying sideways, too light a weight. It's no good having it sinking like that. So with a weight, constant weight, I make the constant floats. Last thing is the trace. You have your 2 feet or 1.5 feet of 17-pound mono attached to a swivel, and that's the important bit. Very simple, 4-turn tuck blood knot. Usually I put an extra turn in for luck, but there's no real need of it. So the most important thing I find with wrasse fishing is to have a sharp hook. Some of the chemically sharpened hooks are good. There's many, many different patterns. I still think you need to sharpen a hook before you use it, just to make sure it's sharp, just to make sure it's absolutely spot on. The worst thing you can possibly do, I think, is to lose a fish because you've got a blunt hook. There's no need of it. Test it against the thumbnail. If it drags, it's no good. If it stops, a little bit more sharpened there. And what we have here is the bait, which is crabs, hardback crabs. They're found on the seashore, low down in the tide, low tide, under any rock. You find a nice, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot rock, turn it over, and there's usually a bucket full under them.
And these crabs are fresh. I caught them this morning.
Right, this is a perfect area for finding a few crabs. Here's a nice one. It's not too big, I should be able to lift this. And there's a nice little bit of a hollow inside there which should hold a few crabs. Turn it over fairly easily. We have a goby. That's what you want. 3 crabs. Ow! If I can stop him biting. And into the box. They live quite happily in there. It's great. It's everybody's dream to poke around in the rocky pools for 2 or 3 hours. I think buying bait is, unless you have to buy it, is stupid. Collecting your own is lovely. There's all sorts of things under here. There's winkles. There's another crab there. One nice one. That's what, 1.5 inches across the back. It's I would have said a perfect size for a big wrasse. Gently lay the rock back, gently on top, and that rock is there for another day, tomorrow maybe, or the next day, when we want crabs. And even if you wanted that goby, he'd be there next day. We'll just use that one. That's the lucky one. We'll close the lid because they have a tendency to escape. Now, what we do is they need to be kept alive. They've got to be kept alive. They've got to be fished alive. And I think it's the movement of the crabs that excite the wrasse to come up and take the bait. So the best way of putting them on the hook is to take a back leg off, not the very back leg. Not the very back leg. The next one up. And all we do is, the hook size, by the way, is a 1/0 hook, which is plenty big enough. Put it through where the leg came from and out through the flap. Very simple like that. The crab is moving quite happily. Believe me, when the crab sees a wrasse coming up to eat it or swimming around below it, it'll move very, very fast. All we do is just lob it out just beyond the fringe of weed at the edge. Not too far at all. The wrasse will be living in the weed at the edge and the float is drifting around the current. If it's going to happen, it could happen straight away. You don't have to wait too long with wrasse fishing. Now you can see from these rocks here at low tide, all these mussels on the edge down here. That's what the wrasse are coming in to feed on. Those mussels go down into the water and they're in the weed. The wrasse come in and they feed on those, and quite often the stomachs are distended with the amount of mussels in the stomachs.
For me, float fishing is the way to stand the best chance with wrasse. Bottom fishing for them will work, but you will have to overcome 2 main problems. One, you are bound to lose a lot of tackle, which can prove time-consuming, expensive, and mostly very annoying. But secondly, and more importantly, I think you are more likely to lose the fish. When wrasse are hooked, they try and go immediately to ground. By float fishing, you stand a chance of stopping the dive and heading off its run, whereas if the bait is already on the bottom when the wrasse takes it, then the fish has the advantage.
Oh. Oh. Nope. It got off. That happens. you can see the damage that that fish has had on that crab. The crab's hung down like that, the fish has come up from below to grab that. Taken a huge bite out of it. That crab is now useless as bait. It's virtually dead. It's not going to wiggle much now. It's the wiggling, I think, that attracts the wrasse. So we just take it off. But it's amazing how it's just taken that cleanly. That's it. Won't be wasted though. It'll go back now and act as ground bait. I'll just mush it down a bit, make sure the juices come out, and throw it back in exactly the place where I'm fishing. The problem is that you tend to lose an awful lot of crabs when you're fishing. For every one wrasse you catch, you're going to lose 4 or 5. So that's it. They're quite happy there. Keep them cool, and they'll live for a week.
But although the wrasse were obviously around, I was about to have a bit of a surprise.
Right, we have a fish on, and he's very hard to hold. Oh, in actual fact, what we have is a pollock. Now, this is very unusual. We were going to try for pollock in the evening, but we have a pollock on crab. That's a good 6 pounds. On light tackle, now he's hooked fairly well, so it takes a while. Don't be tempted to rush these things. It's not worth it. A pollock of this size can take off at any time and crash dive again. He's in. We have him. Right. Pollock rather than a coalfish. Protruding jaw. Crooked lateral line as opposed to a coalfish. A nice fish. From the rocks, Ireland. They're not all like this. A lot of them are bigger. There were some big ones recently taken 10, 12 pounds, not very far away from here. We might try that market this evening. But that's not bad for the first fish of the day. What we'll do now, we'll snip him back gently. Wait for the next wave. And back it goes. The reason for putting them back, a lot of people think I'm daft putting things back. I put virtually every fish I catch back, apart from anything for the table. As I say, I don't mind taking one for the table. But the main reason is we're anglers, we're sportsmen. We're here to catch fish, just to catch fish. We're not here to catch fish to eat. We're not here to catch fish to sell. So all we need to do is to get a few fish. I'm quite happy even seeing the thing. If it got off at the edge of the water, as long as I saw it, I'll be quite happy. But if we put them back, they're there to be caught again. Now, I know a lot of people say that there's trawlers out there, and if I don't keep it, if I don't kill it, the trawlers will kill it. But I think that attitude is a bit stupid because it must start somewhere. Conservation must start somewhere. If I put it back, I've got a clear conscience. All right, if that fish is caught tomorrow by a trawler, what can you do about it? But at least I thought I've done my bit to conservation. I've always got the thought that if a trawler can't come in here because it's very rocky, that fish is going to be there. If I want to come back tonight or tomorrow, I can catch the same fish again. Maybe next year it might even be 1 or 2 pounds bigger. So now, having caught a pollock, which is what we weren't here to catch, let's go and try and catch a wrasse.
I waited and waited and waited, and finally it all paid off.
Right, now this time we have, hopefully, we have a wrasse. I have the clutch set very loose because you need to do that in case the fish runs. The line is only £10, don't forget. Right, it is a wrasse, it's only a small one.
The first wrasse of the day, all 2 pounds of it.
It's a sign that they're feeding, that they're there. We have the depth right. He's completely played out into the net, and that's it. Ballon wrasse, as I say, not very big, but beggars can't be choosers. All right, just grab hold of the hook and just give it a jerk like that, and the hook is out. Now, leave that down there. Put that back in my pocket. Now that's what we're after. This one is very black looking. Now, if I can just show you, probably be better on a bigger fish. There now is the teeth. We'll put this back again. Again, a gentle lob into the water. Make sure it clears the rocks. Now we'll try that one again. Same place. Same fish. Hopefully. Oh, right. Oh, that was a good bite. Now, it's gone to ground. So we'll just give it a little bit of time to come out.
Now, this one has done exactly what I was talking about earlier. it's gone to ground in typical wrasse fashion. And when that happens, the best technique is simply to wait. Give it some slack and let it come out on its own. Be patient.
Very annoying when they go to ground like that. There's nothing you can do to stop them. If they want to go down, they go down, and that's it. There's movement now. Right, I think he's on the way out. Right, he's up. He's coming up. Finally, up it comes. A little bit more colour than the last one, as you can see. We'll try and bring him into the net. Nice fish. That's 4.5 pounds. Not very coloured. That's probably a female. I think the males are a bit more coloured. But a nice fish all the same. Now the wind's getting up and the swell's getting up a small bit, which is a good thing with the swell. Wrasse like the white water. Oh, oh yes, oh, yes, we have the fish. He's got to ground again. Well, we had him, but he's gone again. So we'll give another few seconds. Allow him to swim out of the hole, if we can. Right, I think he might be ready now. We'll try and get him out of the rocks. Yes, he's out. He's up. Right. There's the fish. Right, we have him this time. Now we'll just bring him up here. A little pool of water there, keep him moist. That's it. That's the stamp of the fishing we have here on the southwest of Ireland. A nice wrasse, ballon, maybe 4.5 pounds.
Well, that was great fun and a very successful outing for wrasse. But before we leave, up above us on the cliff there is something worth having a look at. The Dingle Peninsula is riddled with ancient history. Here at Farn are some of the oldest houses in Ireland, dating back thousands of years. These are beehive huts, so called because of their beehive shape, built on a round base with each successive layer of stones smaller than the one below and eventually meeting at the top with a capstone. Most, like this one, have lost their roofs now. This settlement here, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, was probably occupied by one family, one of many families, in what was once known as the city of Farn. Next on my list is the pollock. And for these, I think I'll try the northern side of Dunmore Head. Now there's no getting away from it, this mark can be dangerous and should command respect.